Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to 4 Powerful Days with 4 Incredible Business Mentors. And today we have with us Joel Mandlebaum. And Joel, I'll be honest with you, I lost your bio, so I'm going to just wing this, my friend. Joel's been in business.
Well, we know each other, so just make sure you lie.
Okay. Joel's been in business for many, many years, and he's got a wealth of knowledge to share with each and every one of us. Going from a young age, having a courier business, selling it, to learning all the ups and downs in the online world. And he's actually managed to find a way to become successful and winning online. And as you can see, he's a #1 best-selling author. And he's got lots of valuable information that he's going to give us today. And I know you're going to walk away today and say, wow, how can I start working with Joel? So I'm going to actually turn everything over to Joel today and let him get going with his presentation. And I hope you enjoy it. We will have some Q&A at the end of the presentation for anyone who has questions. And Joel, the floor is all yours.
Awesome. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming in today. And it's a privilege to be on Zoom with everyone in this beautiful snowy day here. For the next, about 30 minutes or so, I'll share with you in some depth 3 key takeaways that I believe are important to business leaders navigating through these extraordinarily uncertain times. Then I'm going to show you a disruptive technology that will help you control your online reputation. Then at the end, as a special bonus for being on the call today, you're going to get 3 things in addition to the valuable content I'll be sharing with you. As leader of a small business today, I do not have to tell you how important agility, confident decisions, and uncovering value are to you and your company's ability to survive and thrive over the next few years. Sherry, if you could pop up slide number 2 for me, please. Perfect. Oopsie. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Sherry. So today I'm going to share with you 3 things that will help you to do that. The first thing I'm going to share with you is how I went from a mess as an online marketer to a best-selling author on the topic, and I'll share with you what my turning point was. The second thing I'm going to share with you today is 5 things that you can do to gain trust online. And the third thing I'm going to share with you today are 3 myths you've been led to believe by others that are causing you to limit your ability to gain trust online. So let's start with my mess and how I turn things around. Toronto has been my home all my life, and I grew up in a modest suburban home in the North End. Mom and Dad had split up when I was about 6 years old, and it was pretty tough and took me some years to work through. I had trouble learning in school, which was a combination of attention deficit, and really, I just wasn't interested in what they wanted to teach me. And impatient, I was full of drive. I started my first business at the age of 19, which was a local expedited courier company here in the Greater Toronto area. I worked hard and had some luck along the way. And over 24 years, I found great people and expanded into the US, into trucking, air freight, warehousing, and small package delivery across the country. Those were amazing years. And one of the highlights was being honored by the Toronto Board of Trade as Company of the Year for business excellence. But when the internet originally hit my radar around the year 2000, my reaction was, meh. I didn't understand it, and I guess I really did not want to change. Unfortunately, that was my fatal mistake. 3.5 years into the Great Recession of 2007, I realized technology had changed, I hadn't kept up, and the timing was right to sell. But because I was such a mess as an online marketer, I was determined to meet my mistake head on. The turning point for me was when I started to realize that I had to learn from innovators and experts who are playing at a much higher level online and thinking much differently. So I invested time and money to learn from the folks that had already figured it out. And because I did that, some amazing things started happening. In a relatively short period of time, I was helping hundreds of businesses to increase their prospecting effectiveness by several hundred, and in some cases, several thousand%. And because of my experience using this stuff, I was able to write a best-selling book to help countless others attract high-quality prospects to their businesses using proprietary marketing tools and methods. By the way, I knocked Michelle Obama off the #2 spot of the top 100 paid Kindle books. Yet. Today, I spend the majority of my time educating and guiding business leaders through the foggy conditions that we're all trying to figure out how to adapt to. It's rewarding. I love what I do, and I am grateful for the opportunity I have to give back at this stage of my life. But enough about me right now. For the time we have left, I'll share with you what I've learned about one of the most fundamental keys to successful selling online. Trust. Trust is more important than ever in today's uncertain world. To appreciate the significance, let's take a couple of minutes to unpack what trust actually is, because we generally see it as a combination of attributes like reliance, and in terms of marketing, it can sometimes be confused with the intention of building credibility. To hit the bullseye on trust marketing, we need to look at why it is so important. Okay, so trust has 3 fundamental traits. Sherry, please flip to the next slide, known here as the trust triangle. Trust triangle obviously has 3 sides and 3 factors: empathy, rigorous logic, and authenticity. When all 3 are on display within an interaction in the real world, we move up on the trust spectrum in the minds of others, and they develop an intangible sense that they know you or your company to the degree that they no longer associate you as unknown or a stranger, and of course, trust grows. And when starting at a known factor of 0, Google's research suggests that a buyer needs the following: 7 hours of interaction of you and or your brand across 11 different touch points in 4 different locations in order to make a purchase decision. This is known as the 0 moment of truth, or as we say in marketing, ZMOT, Z-M-O-T. You can Google it. It's actually quite an interesting article. Personally, I take this as a rule of thumb to work towards, as buyers begin with differing levels of preformed innate trust, and the nature of purchase decisions vary widely across and within industry verticals. Of the 3 components of the trust triangle, business leaders are most likely to wobble on empathy and authenticity. We can sometimes lean too heavily on the logic of what our product can solve for the user, their pain or problem that your service may alleviate for them, or the tangible gain that they may receive if all goes well and your customer uses your offering to its fullest potential. What makes logic less likely to negatively affect the trust factor is because it can be followed along cognitively and can be made to appear rational and rigorously thought through. But if your logic has a fundamental flaw, or if its believability is a stretch, you will definitely lose the audience. You can use data to add credibility to the important trust points that your audience will naturally hone in on. Empathy and authenticity lean more towards an internal feeling, a sense or instinct, and logic is rarely effective at overcoming the absence of empathy and authenticity. Reason and logic are persuasive, but we are moved by emotion. Several studies conclude that up to 90% of the decisions we make are based on emotion, and we use logic to justify our actions to ourselves and to others. Empathy is all about understanding the position that your prospect is currently in and displaying that understanding in a skilled way. Questions are often more effective than direct points. They allow the reader, listener, or viewer to ruminate on the question for a few seconds, and that you have asked a thoughtful and skilled question contributes to their appreciation of your understanding of their position. Authenticity is a tough one to nail down, though we all know when we do not sense it. Use trusted and skilled folks that know you to evaluate your marketing communications for authenticity. Let's switch gears now and consider for a moment what your prospects are experiencing and how their conditions and coping abilities likely vary to a large degree. Generally, what are your prospects experiencing in their personal and professional lives right now? Most likely the same as you and I. Maybe some anxiety, lots of uncertainty, and to an extent, some degree of fear. The lockdown has amped up our innate drive for safety and security because fellow human beings can unknowingly make us ill or much worse. You probably observe this whenever you're in close proximity to another person. We avoid each other while walking in a park, on a sidewalk, or standing in a socially distanced lineup at a store or a service provider of some sort. And what's the result? Well, as your body perceives stress, your adrenal glands make and release the hormone cortisol into your bloodstream, often called the stress hormone. Cortisol causes an increase in your heart rate and your blood pressure. As a result, we can intuit a higher threshold to reach trust online. Overlay the financial uncertainties of people and companies alike, and it's a recipe for paying keen attention to your company's ability to communicate consistently and effectively within the trust triangle. And here are 5 things that you can do to gain trust online today. Number 1, use video a lot. Now more than ever, the use of multi-sensory communication is critical online. The trend to video is not new or groundbreaking. However, there are innovative ways to make the medium far more effective than what we traditionally see on websites and on YouTube. Use the trust triangle as a guideline and evaluation tool for your videos. Or just sign up and use TikTok. Communicate with lightheartedness is number 2. These times call for communications that are subtly uplifting, positively forward-looking, and do not remind the viewer, reader, or listener to be brought back to a state of concern and worry. I think we've passed the point of needing to reference the pandemic and financial conditions in our communications. If you can make it work, humor is the most effective tool to connect and lower stress levels in your audience. It's not easy to pull off, but when I have seen it used selectively and subtly, it's disarming, it's impactful, and endears your audience to you if delivered authentically and tastefully. Number 3, excuse me, use your unique voice in your content. The challenge I've seen with some small businesses is the tendency to overcome a lack of online credibility or familiarity with their company by using logical appeals and impressive language or narrative. A viewer of your website should be able to hear your tone and see, read, or hear displays of the trust triangle throughout. Another trap we sometimes fall into is wanting to tell the audience that we have those trust triangle traits in some way. Okay, trust triangle traits. Let's say that 30 times quickly. Trust triangle traits. I had to practice a lot to get that. So think creatively and display rather than say that you have those traits and those tendencies. Blah. The phrase I like to use to remind myself while developing content is, Joel, don't say it, display it. Number 4, teach them something new. Share with your prospects something they don't know that is relatable to their current problem or pain, or present something they already know, but from a different perspective that is new to them. This serves 3 purposes. Number 1, you get to educate the prospect related to your product solution. Number 2, you illustrate rigorous logic. And you make them feel good, number 3, by learning something new. The net result of these 3 benefits is that it endears them to you and builds trust in your expertise of the subject matter. Number 5, share the why and what, but not the how. Educate your target consumer freely and generously with as much useful content as you can create, and plan your content for multi-purposing it across different platforms. Go deep into the why, because these are the reasons and causes of your prospects' pain points and are an effective way to teach them something new or remind them of something they know, but present it from a unique perspective. Going deep into the why is a way to display your empathy. Share with them the what. Share alternative ways to solve their most important problem, including ones that you do not offer, just for comparison. And be honest and spell out for them where you do really well, and acknowledge that there are other options if their priorities are not aligned with your key attributes. Now, why would anyone ever want to do this? Well, because the vast majority of customer complaints, returns, and service issues will likely come from clients that do not value the unique combination of benefits that you offer anyway. You spare yourself from attrition problems, and at the same time, display logic and build trust with your target prospects. Okay, now I'm going to share with you the 3 myths I mentioned at the beginning. These are myths that you may have been led to believe by others that are causing you to limit your ability to gain trust online. The first myth that you may have been led to believe by others is that testimonials establish trust. To a certain extent, they help. But today, people have read so many testimonials over the years, they've lost faith in their validity. They've lost a lot of their value. It's useful to have testimonials on your site, but what people really want to read are reviews, and as many as you can possibly get. Reviews are a combination of star ratings and a comment, which is just like a testimonial. However, unlike a testimonial, yes.
Joel, is there a chance that we can maybe show the reviews at some point here during the presentation? And because I know that I use your review platform and it's absolutely wonderful.
Well, absolutely. I planned the meeting today so we can finish early, so I can give a quick demo of that and of course answer any questions about what my discussion is today. So we'll have time for that as well. Thank you for asking that, Sherry.
Perfect.
Joel, can we also see the next slide that Sherry started?
If we could please leave the all comments till after and all questions till after. Thank you very much. We're on the right slide, by the way, Lorraine. So as I said, reviews are a combination of star ratings and a comment, and because people want to see both good and not so good reviews. And why do they want to see both good and not so good reviews? It's so they can determine how you respond and resolve an unhappy customer. This builds mega trust more than having just 5 stars, because it shows your potential clients you're only human and you make mistakes at times, but are willing to rectify the situation. In fact, a negative review on your website that is responded to and resolved could increase conversions by as much as 85%. I've had clients tell me they've tracked an increase in sales directly as a result of adding reviews to their website. So have you ever seen some of those companies? They only have 5 stars. We have 164 5-star reviews. They may think that they're doing well in their marketing, but the majority of people don't trust that because nobody's perfect. In fact, the sweet spot is between about 4.5 and 4.8. So if you have a bad review somewhere, a 1-star, or a 2-star, maybe even a 3-star, always respond. In fact, you should be responding to all of your reviews to show people, as I said, that you respond and that you're aware of who your customers are and you're aware of the services that you're offering. The second myth that you may have been led to believe by others is that third-party review platforms are enough. Google does very well with reviews. Many people trust Google reviews. However, when people look for reviews on Google, they can be redirected to your competition. If you look at the bottom of your Google business listing, and you're in any type of service industry, Google will also say people also search. That's another way of saying check these people out as well. The same goes for Yelp, because when I search for your reviews and go into Yelp, I see all of your competition advertising on your page. They've paid Yelp to be on your page. And this causes me to see other options and potentially losing me as a customer. You want the prospect's decision to be, which products or services of yours I as a consumer should buy from you, not which company, including your competitors, should I choose to buy from. And if you don't have reviews integrated on your website, people will bounce to look for them. And believe me, Google will notice that people came onto your site and left. In fact, having reviews integrated into your website is the third highest ranking factor that Google uses in local search. What that essentially means is, all things being equal, you have reviews on your website and your competitors do not, Google is going to give you some bonus points for that. Very important because it provides a better user experience. 93% of people will check your reviews, whether it's B2B, B2C, before buying your products or services. And in some industries, I hear people saying, well, I usually don't get reviews. You better get some, because that's credibility. When people hear about you and your business, the first place they go is to your website to see if you're legitimate and learn more about your business. So make sure your website is up to date. Your website has a 3 to 5 year lifespan at the most. And if you've been considering getting a new one, especially with the way things are today, update it as soon as possible. Just like a store, you want people looking at your store from the outside saying it's beautiful and attractive enough for me to come into your store and engage with you. And once they decide they are interested, they still need to build the trust before making a buying decision. Remember 7-11-4. But the issue is with most businesses, you force me to leave your website, which you're breaking the cardinal rule of the internet to find reviews. With third-party review platforms, you are at risk for the prospect to choose somebody else. The third myth that you may have been led to believe by others is that it's difficult to get reviews. In most cases, people believe that getting reviews is work. The problem is that most companies don't have a system in place. They're asking their customers at the end of a transaction, or worse, not at all, to now do extra work for you. That's why on average, only about 2 to 4% of people actually leave a review without being asked. However, when you use an effective system, they want to leave you reviews. And here's what your system must address. It must be convenient, easy, and fast for the customer to leave a review. How many times have you asked your customers to leave a review? They say, sure. You don't get the review. You send them an email. Sure. They don't leave the review. It's not that they're playing games. It's just people are so busy and people are so distracted these days. You have to make it easy and quick for them. Most companies that do ask do so only at the end of the transaction, but it must be introduced early in the sales cycle, and again in the middle of the purchase process, and then at the end after they've gone through the entire experience of doing business with you. But as I said, you must be subtle. You want to infer along the way that leaving a review is part of the transaction process of doing business with you. And you must follow up at least once after the transaction. That might sound like a lot of work to you. The system that I use is automated, it's easy to use, and gets results fast. Okay, so I shared with you my mess and my turning point, the 5 things you can do to gain trust online, and the 3 myths you've been led to believe by others that are causing you to limit your ability to gain trust online. So I covered everything I promised. What I'd like to know before we move on is how many of you learned at least one new thing that you didn't know before my talk, or how many of you were reminded of at least one new thing? Would you please either type yes in the comment section or one line as to what you learned? So if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. I'd like to see I'd like to see how people enjoyed the event today and if you've learned anything. Yes. Excellent. Anyone else learn anything today? Sherry, good. 2 new things. Nicole, thank you. Yes. Awesome. Great. And since we have some time left, Sherry, as I promised, I'm now going to show everybody the review platform. And then I'm going to talk about the 3 things that you're going to get. So Sherry, if you can give me, just a minute here. If you can give me control so I can go onto my screen.
The control's all there for you, Joel.
Thank you. I'm going to show 2 websites. The first website I'm going to show is my wife's website because she gets a little preferential treatment because she's my wife. Have to do that. So just give me a moment. What I'm going to do, my wife actually pivoted her business to selling hair extensions online when the pandemic happened. And if we see on her site here, she's got 10% sale. But if also we can see here reviews. If I click into reviews, let me just shrink this down a bit. We can actually see reviews that her customers have left directly on her website. And they can be left by text, email, or threat. No, we don't do that. So if you see here, these are people that have left them directly on our site from either their phone or by email. We can see that they've been verified reviews and that my wife has responded to these reviews. This is so important with review platform that you have a space to respond. So when a customer comes in looking at those reviews, they see that you're engaging with your customers. Very important for that. And it's also one of the things, if you know anything about the internet in terms of Google, this is all content. You know, we hear everybody saying you need to increase your content, you need to improve your content, you need to add content, you need to blog, you need to do this. This is called user generated ad benefit from the search engines. When you put it on Yelp, Facebook, TripAdvisor, any of these other third-party review sites, they get the content benefit. And if you were to go take those beautiful reviews that your customers left on Yelp and then copy and paste them back onto your website, you could be penalized by a search engine for duplicating content. So this is why those companies are now worth billions of dollars. We all put content on their sites. We all help them grow. We got a nice little badge, and of course, they're living the highlight. So it's about time that you control your content and control your reviews and put the power of review marketing in your pocket. Now, I'm going to show you something else here as well. One of the other beautiful things about reviews, this is called social proof. So we can add a carousel on your homepage so people see the reviews right out in front of them. There's 5 things that every website needs that they must have to attract new customers. And I'm going to give you a document, show you how to attain a document that will have that. One of the most important things is social proof. So how can a person leave a review for you? Well, they can do it multiple ways. We would integrate a new page in your website that looks like your website that people can leave reviews on, like I showed you with Olena. However, there are other things that we can do. And now I'm going to show you a little bit of magic, if you will. The user dashboard that we've designed is to help you understand your review activity. So what we're looking at here is on April 13th, 5 people visited just the review portion of my website. And it's important to know this because if 5 people looked at your reviews, there are 5 people that were looking to gain trust. And reviews are the quickest way that I can gain trust. In fact, people view the credibility of reviews are as much as personal recommendations. People feel this way. Tons of stats out there. How do we get it so quickly? So if the first place they go is your site and they get that trust factor, the next step is either to put you on the short list, phone you, interact with your chat if you have one, or send you an email to go further. Because I'm not buying from you. In fact, I'm not looking for reviews for your company unless I'm interested in buying from you. So not only can we track the people coming in terms of the number of people, we can also get reviews, and we can do it by text. We can enter a person's name. We can send out, or by email, one at a time, or we can send out 200 emails or 100 texts at a time, which really, once it hits your phone, the statistics are that only 62% of emails get opened. 94% of text messages get opened within the first 3 minutes. So if your customer's happy, they say yes, they'll leave a review, send them a text message. They'll open it. In fact, we found that when people use text messaging for reviews, over 95% of the people will leave the review. It's fully CASL compliant for anti-spam. They can always opt out if they want. But wait, there's something else that we put into this platform to help your business. A whole new little text marketing engine. So you can create little offers. If you have your database of clients and you have their phone numbers, you can of course do this through email as well. But again, when it hits your phone, how many of you have had offers from your phone, and how long did it take for you to look at the offer? We have also found that by utilizing text marketing in the right way, you will get responses instantly. I know Sherry, for some of her clients, she's run some text marketing campaigns through the system, and they always get customers. For any of you that are professionals, we can always do an appointment. We can set out appointment reminders to those people, real estate agents, lawyers, dentists. They use this, they just boom, send it out by text. The person can confirm or reschedule, and you get an instant notification. And you can also do your own surveys. You know, it's not easy to, you've got to sign up, figure out all the questions. Here, you can create your own surveys, save them here, have multiple surveys, and send them to whoever you want, segmenting your list to different customers to get feedback. All of these things start about the 0 moment of truth. They get that moving. A text, looking at a review, looking at your website, all of these are things that will get people to know, like, and trust you. So with that, I'd like to share with you the 3 things that you're going to get today. So Sherry, if you wouldn't mind flipping the next slide. I believe we are on slide number 4. So the first thing you're going to get is get your own review platform for free to try out for 2 months, which is a $100 value, and there is no obligation. So to get that, you go to my website simply, which is winningonlinebook.com. In fact, I can make it very easy for everybody here and show you instead of tell you. To get your free review platform, just click on Book a Coffee with me. A meeting invite will pop up, and put in the comments that you'd like to have your own review platform. And during that appointment, I'll go through it, explain you the details, and we get you signed up right away. Sherry, if you could flip to the next slide. The second thing you'll get is a document, as I mentioned earlier, which are the 5 things every website must have to attract new customers. It's a $200 value. I had my team create that. Again, just come back to the website and just click on this button here. Click here to receive the 5 things your website must have to attract new customers. Put in your email address. It only comes to me, and the document will be downloaded. Sherry, if you could put the next slide up. And of course, the third thing that you'll get is to connect with me. In fact, not just connect with me, I'll give you a free 30-minute strategy session, and I'll help you solve your most burning online marketing issues. Again, just go to my site, click on book a coffee with me. Now, if you want both your review platform and to have that 30-minute strategy session, just mention that in the comments, and I'll extend our meeting to an hour. And Sherry, if you could flip to the last slide. And number 4, a secret bonus that I'm not going to show you here. You will have to go to my website, click on offers. At the top, you'll see a few offerings that I have, and there's a 4 powerful days special offer for anyone. That includes a website audit and a strategy session with me. And before you do any type of marketing online, you have to make sure your website looks up to date, resonates who you are in your business to your ideal target client, and I'll help you get there during our call. Now, did we have any questions? Sherry, I think we're about time to open that up.
Yes, Joel, I totally agree. What a great offer that you're.
Sorry, Sherry, you seem to be echoing,
Yeah, I hear that.
or is it me?
No, I think we're okay now.
Okay.
Great offers, Joel. I hope people will take advantage of it. Like the review platform, folks, is absolutely wonderful to have. It helped grow my business. I've had it now for about 5-6 years, and it was the best thing that I did with Joel. It grew my business. It created my credibility. It displayed, put it right out there. I can't say enough about it. It's worth it having on your website. So if please reach out. And yes, who has questions for Joel? I'm quite sure people have questions.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Joel. Nice to see you again.
Hey, Joanne.
I have Anna beside me too.
Hi. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Thank you. This is wonderful. I don't have a question except something that I learned today. So I want to thank you that I didn't realize how often you do have to change your website as a result of changing times. So it was interesting to see that, 3 to 5 year mark is crucial. It may seem like 3 years, but 3 years before we know it, 3 years has come. But I'm also finding with today's pandemic, people should be changing it actually more frequently, because one of the things we were looking at as a team was the very fact that our colleagues, our competition, are really focusing on their websites, and we have to be very competitive and be a step ahead of them. So it was interesting hearing you bring that to our attention, because I thought that was very key.
Yeah, thank you, Joanne. It's very important. It's not about them just rebuilding a new website. It's important that the content on the site reflects today's society and what's going on, of course, with the pandemic. So you have to be relevant in your blogs. There are some triggers that we've figured out that will help people close their clients more quickly when they land on your website. And that's something, if you'd like, we can have a conversation about another time. A lot has changed in the digital space. A year ago, no one knew what was going to happen. And since that year, we've seen the online space explode. We've seen Zoom, 10x their revenue. We've seen multiple online companies come from nowhere and are dominating different areas right now. And I've seen it in my clients that were kind of hemming and hawing a couple of years ago, even a year ago, about updating their website. And it's important not just to update it for your potential customers that are coming in, but for search engines, because they're constantly comparing what you're doing against your competition. It's not like if you're sitting there and not doing anything and wondering why your website may not be ranking as high, or there may not be as much traffic in your website as before, that may mean that your competitors are now doing that much more. Yeah. And in order to understand what search engines look for, always look at your website as to how you can provide the best user experience possible. There's over 300 things that Google looks at now to determine how high you rank in a search. Now, of course, typing in your name, you're always going to show up, or else whoever built your website probably needs to find another job.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's other things you can do to show up in searches that are core to your business, especially now. Things are changing very quickly.
Yeah.
So thank you for that point,
Yeah.
Joanne.
If I may ask one question, do you think it's having a review, like I'm looking at our profession, for example, one of the questions that popped into mind is industry standards. So it'll be interesting. I'm actually going to look at other websites to see if we're even permitted to have reviews on our specific website. I don't know
Yep.
the answer to that.
I know in your industry, Joanne, that, and in a lot of industries like insurance and finance as well, there's a lot of compliance issues. If someone has a Google My Business, so type in your competitor's name, see if they have a Google My Business, and see if they have reviews on there, and they've been collecting reviews on there.
Mhm.
You also obviously have to be careful. You can delete reviews. We do allow that on the platform, but in specific circumstances, of course. I do have clients in the personal injury space, and not very many people want to say, hey, I just won, $1 million from my
Yeah.
personal injury case, and
Yeah.
people wondering who's this new millionaire.
Yeah.
But what they do is they say a satisfied client. Or
Oh,
some
okay.
clients do allow their name to say, we had a great experience, so on and so forth, we recommend. And either they post it as admin if the client doesn't want to post it, or they can just say a satisfied client. And if you got enough of them,
Mhm.
but again, make sure if someone leaves you a negative review, even though everyone loses sleep over it, it's actually a good thing to have in your
Yeah.
site, as I said before,
Mhm.
because people will look at that review and see how they responded, how you responded to that. People are not stupid. People know there's haters out there. People have had bad days,
Mhm.
but it makes you look and shine much better and puts you above any negativity in that review. In fact, we even have a way in the system, if someone leaves you a negative review, that will actually block any search engine from taking that negative review and putting it in the internet. So we've done a little magic
Oh,
behind the
wonderful.
scenes.
Oh, okay,
Yep,
good. That's
yep,
good to
yep.
know.
So you can have even more control over your reviews, because it's not fair that someone goes and puts a negative review about you in Yelp that might be a competitor in X something or whatever. You should not be able to allow, or it's not fair that other people can control and hurt your brand that don't work with you. But as I said, be careful. If you delete out somebody that is a real client, you've made an enemy out of me. Now I'm going to go out of my way to hurt your
Yeah.
business. So there's a fine balance of which, we have standards that we generally adhere to and we let our clients know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions we have here? Is it better to
Yes.
blend multi-skills and products together? Oh, sorry, Sherry, why don't you, who asked?
Oh,
next?
we have the question came in through the chat from Campbell. Is it better to blend multi-skills and products together on one website?
Kembo, when you mean multi-skills, do you mean multi-professions, or multi-services? So would that be blending? If your company sells both products and services, absolutely. You want to have people review everything that you do, especially a customer that comes in that might be interested in one of your services, but then might see some of your products and might take a look at that. You never know, you might get a sale or more familiarity with that customer, understanding your products and services. Absolutely. I have clients that are B2B, B2C. I have professionals as clients. I have e-commerce clients. I have and I even have clients that just have a big ego, that just want to have a website for themselves and show the world, what's best about them. Oh, and it's all them focused. And by the way, if I can give you also some good advice about the content on your website, go over it. Everything that says I, us, and we, replace with you and yours. Because really, when I land on your website, nobody cares what you do. Nobody cares about how you provide services and what's so good about your company until I understand what you can do for me. And if you're not telling me on your website what you're going to do for me, you're probably going to lose me. And this is one of the reasons why you can pay a pretty penny at times to get a professional content writer to write your content, because they understand the customer journey, they understand the trigger points, and they understand what it takes for people when they're on your site to take action. So very important that your content, as I mentioned earlier, not just in your voice, but it's always not about, I did this, we do this, we performed this, we won this. What can you do for me? What problem can you solve for me? So when you download the 5 things every website must have to attract new clients, it will have some of those things on there that you can change right away on your website. So I hope did I answer your question, Kambu? Thank you. Okay. Great. That's fantastic. Yes,
May I
Lorraine,
speak?
go ahead.
First of all, I'm amazed at how much content you brought in just 40 minutes of a presentation. Tremendous amount of content. What I am thinking of, I rarely hear about the trust triangle or people speaking about trust at all. And this was a delight. Now I'm wondering, what can you do in your website that builds trust? Because when we're speaking, one-on-one, or as you talk, we're building trust with you because of your knowledge and experience and the way you present yourself. But when somebody looks at a website, what can you put in that website to help build trust as well?
That's a great question, Lorraine. Thank you. In addition to the document that you're going to get, trust is, as I've articulated today, takes time. So how can you get somebody to stay on your website longer? Well, the first most visited page is obviously your homepage when someone lands on your homepage. And that's because I have no choice. And also what's above the cutoff line, in other words, what you see on your screen from top to bottom, you have 2 to 4 seconds to convince people when they land on that part of your site to stay on your site. And you can put all that beautiful content below it and everything, but you need to have triggers at the very top. And by the way, you put on all that beautiful content, no one's going to read it all the way to the bottom. The second most looked at page is the About Us page. I tell clients, maybe you should say about you to the client, what we can do for you, why you're doing what you're doing. Have a heartwarming story, a heart connection, a picture of you. Who am I going to be working with? I want to see faces. Faces actually gain trust. That's why every real estate agent has their face on their sign. Another thing you can do, which is the third most looked at page on your website, is your blog. How relevant is your content? Are you updating your blog once to 2-3 times a month? Or is it 6 months before you put your last blog post up? In fact, if you're not going to be blogging, at least putting up 1 article a month, you shouldn't have a blog, because it will look bad if you're not updating. And it will also look bad if you don't have any relevant information. So again, building your About Us page, making sure that your blogs are relevant and on a regular basis, that show that you're a professional in your industry and that you're a subject matter expert in your industry. And it doesn't even have to be necessarily about your industry. It could be just good news about something. Everybody sees online people posting stuff about their industry, and about their industry. Sometimes it's nice to give some good news about the industry. Maybe it's not about you specifically, or just something in general that might help your clients, knowing the condition, the emotional state that they're in. And of course, adding reviews to your website.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Everybody's quiet today, Joel.
I've got a statement to make, Joel. How can I give you a review? And thank you very much for the invitation. This was not only enjoyable, but I have 2 pages of notes that I'm going to follow up on, and I'll be bugging you.
Oh, Simon, you can bug me anytime.
You don't want to say that out loud. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
you don't know where I live, so that's.
Yeah, I see.
But yeah, thank you, Simon. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You can always go to my website, winningonlinebook.com. When you click on reviews, it'll bring you to the bottom. It'll say more reviews. You can click on that, and then you'll see a box saying leave a review. Or if you give me your phone number or email me your phone number, I'll send you a text so you can see how it works through.
Well, I'll do that in exchange for your signing my winning online copy.
I would love to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
My pleasure, Simon. Okay.
Well, everybody, thank you.
I would say that's,
Yeah. Go ahead, Joel.
I was just going to say, unless there's any other questions, it's always good to be early. I'm sure everybody here has a busy day planned to go out and play in the snow. And again, I wanted to say, hey, it was great. It was great presenting in front of everybody. Feel free to reach out to me on my website, winningonlinebook.com, or on LinkedIn. I'm always available to help.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today for 4 powerful days with 4 incredible business mentors. Tomorrow we have a young man coming on that's going to teach us about how to create an app in 1 day and what he can do for your social media. So it's going to be an interesting day tomorrow. I hope you can join us. And thank you, Joel, for all the information today. It's been wonderful, very powerful. And I hope that people will reach out to you and bring on those review platforms. So have a great day, everyone. See you tomorrow at 11.
Bye, everybody.